Imagine if one ordinary choice you make every single day wasn't really a choice at all. Imagine if the hand you naturally use to write your name, hold a spoon, throw a ball, or open a door had already been decided before you were even born. Not by your parents, not by your teachers, but by a mysterious combination of your DNA and the incredible development of your brain inside your mother's womb. Right now, look at your hands. One of them feels stronger, faster, more natural. You don't think about it, you simply use it. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Out of more than 8 billion people on Earth, nearly 90% are right-handed. Only about 10% naturally prefer their left hand. This percentage has remained almost unchanged for thousands of years, across different countries, cultures, religions, and civilizations. Whether scientists studied people living in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, or the Americas, they found nearly the same pattern. Somehow, despite humanity's incredible diversity, left-handedness has remained one of the rarest yet most consistent human traits. At first, this may not seem like an important mystery. After all, what difference does it make which hand someone uses? But when scientists asked that same question, they uncovered one of the most fascinating puzzles in human biology. For centuries, left-handed people were treated differently. In many ancient cultures, the right hand symbolized strength, honesty, and good fortune, while the left hand became associated with bad luck, darkness, and even evil. The Latin word for left was sinister. Over time, that word evolved into the English word sinister, meaning something dangerous or threatening. Even language itself preserved humanity's fear of the left hand. Children born left-handed often faced punishment. Teachers forced them to write with their right hand. Parents believed they were helping by correcting what they thought was a mistake. Some children had their left hand tied behind their back during school lessons. Others spent years struggling to perform simple tasks with a hand that never felt natural, yet despite centuries of social pressure, left-handedness never disappeared. Every generation continued producing left-handed children. That alone told scientists something remarkable. Nature was protecting this rare trait. But why? For decades, researchers believed the answer would be simple. Somewhere inside human DNA, there had to be one special gene responsible for handedness. Find that gene, and the mystery would finally be solved. It sounded reasonable. After all, genes influence eye color, hair color, blood type, height, and thousands of other characteristics. So scientists began searching. Year after year, laboratories across the world collected DNA samples from volunteers. They compared families with many left-handed members. They studied twins. They analyzed enormous genetic databases using powerful computers capable of processing millions of genetic variations. Everyone expected one clear answer. Instead, they found hundreds. There was no single left-handed gene. Instead, researchers discovered that handedness appears to be influenced by hundreds of tiny genetic differences, each contributing only a very small effect. Think of it like building a giant puzzle. One piece means almost nothing. But when hundreds of pieces come together, the complete picture begins to appear. Your DNA doesn't simply flip a switch that says left-handed or right-handed. Instead, it provides possibilities. The developing brain decides the rest. Long before a baby takes its first breath, something extraordinary begins happening inside the womb. Within weeks of conception, billions of neurons begin forming. These microscopic brain cells grow at astonishing speed, creating one of the most complicated structures in the known universe. Every second, thousands of new neural connections appear, slowly building the networks responsible for movement, language, memory, emotion, and intelligence. As these networks develop, the two halves of the brain begin specializing. The left hemisphere often becomes more involved in language and fine motor control. The right hemisphere becomes especially important for recognizing faces, understanding space, processing emotions, and many forms of creativity, because each side of the brain controls the opposite side of the body. This organization plays an important role in determining which hand eventually becomes dominant. For most people, the left hemisphere develops stronger control over precise movements, making the right hand dominant. But biology doesn't always follow identical instructions. Sometimes the developing brain organizes itself differently. That difference may seem tiny, yet it changes a person's entire life. Scientists witness this process using advanced ultrasound technology. Months before birth, unborn babies already showed clear hand preferences. Some repeatedly reached toward their face using the right hand. Others consistently preferred the left. Many sucked the thumb of the same hand over and over again. Years later, researchers followed those children. A remarkable pattern emerged. The babies who preferred their left hand before birth often became left-handed children. Those who favored the right usually became right-handed adults. This meant handedness begins developing long before birth. Children are not simply copying their parents. Something much deeper is happening. Still, one enormous mystery remained. If genes influence handedness, why don't identical twins always have the same dominant hand? Identical twins share almost identical DNA. According to the original theory, both twins should almost always become either left-handed or right-handed together. But that's not what scientists observed. Again and again, researchers found identical twins where one sibling naturally used the left hand while the other preferred the right. This discovery completely changed scientific thinking. Genes were clearly important, but they weren't acting alone. Researchers now believe tiny differences inside the womb may influence the final outcome. Slight variations in blood flow, hormone exposure, or the exact timing of early brain development could affect how neural circuits organize themselves. These differences are so incredibly small that they remain almost impossible to predict. Yet they may help explain why handedness cannot be determined by DNA alone. The deeper scientists investigated, the stranger the mystery became. Then they looked backward in time, far backward. Long before cities existed, long before written language, long before history itself, archaeologists studying ancient stone tools noticed something unusual. The wear patterns suggested that some prehistoric humans clearly preferred using their left hand. Scientists also examined fossilized teeth. Tiny scratch marks left by ancient tools revealed which hand early humans most likely used while preparing food. Once again, evidence of left-handed individuals appeared. This discovery pushed the history of left-handedness back hundreds of thousands of years. Our earliest ancestors included left-handed people. They hunted together. They survived ice ages. They crossed continents. They discovered fire. They built civilizations. Left-handedness had traveled beside humanity from the very beginning. If this rare characteristic had survived for so long, evolution must have allowed it to remain for a reason. That possibility led researchers toward one of the most fascinating theories in evolutionary science. Imagine two prehistoric warriors preparing for combat. Almost everyone in their tribe fights with the right hand. Every attack comes from familiar angles. Every defense has been practiced thousands of times. Then one opponent steps forward, using the left hand. Everything suddenly feels different. The attacks arrive from unexpected directions. The movements seem unfamiliar. Even experienced fighters hesitate. Modern scientists call this idea negative frequency dependent selection. In simple terms, being rare creates an advantage precisely because it is rare. This theory may explain why left-handed athletes appear more frequently than expected in sports like boxing, fencing, baseball, cricket, and tennis. Their opponents spend most of their lives training against right-handed competitors. Facing a left-handed athlete forces the brain to adapt instantly. Sometimes, those few moments of confusion are enough to decide victory or defeat. Perhaps thousands of years ago, the same advantage existed during hunting and combat. Perhaps left-handed individuals enjoyed just enough of an edge to keep this rare trait alive through countless generations. But if left-handedness truly offers certain advantages, why doesn't everyone become left-handed? That question would lead scientists toward an even deeper mystery, one involving brain organization, intelligence, creativity, and the hidden ways our DNA continues shaping who we become before we ever enter the world. But what if everything we've believed about left-handed people is only part of the story? For decades, people have claimed that left-handed individuals are naturally more intelligent, more creative, or somehow different from everyone else. Stories about famous artists, scientists, musicians, and world leaders who happen to be left-handed only strengthened these beliefs. Names were added to the list year after year, and soon a myth was born that using your left hand somehow unlocked hidden abilities. Science, however, tells a far more interesting story. Researchers discovered that intelligence cannot be measured by the hand someone writes with. Large studies involving hundreds of thousands of people found that left-handed and right-handed individuals have almost identical ranges of intelligence. There are brilliant people on both sides, just as there are average people on both sides. Your dominant hand does not decide your future. What scientists did discover was something unexpected. The brains of many left-handed people often show more variation than those of right-handed individuals. In most right-handed people, language is controlled primarily by the left hemisphere of the brain. But among left-handed people, the pattern is much more flexible. Some still process language in the left hemisphere, others in the right, while many use both hemispheres together. This remarkable flexibility demonstrates that the human brain can organize itself in more than one successful way. That flexibility may explain why some left-handed people approach problems differently. It doesn't automatically make them more creative, but it shows that there is no single blueprint for how a healthy human brain should work. Nature allows multiple solutions to the same challenge. Scientists then turn their attention to another fascinating question: can parents predict whether their baby will be left-handed? The answer is not exactly. If one parent is left-handed, the chances increase slightly. If both parents are left-handed, the probability becomes even higher. But there is still no guarantee. Two right-handed parents can have a left-handed child, and two left-handed parents can have a right-handed child. This unpredictability is one of the strongest pieces of evidence that handedness is influenced by both genetics and early development before birth. DNA provides the instructions, but the developing brain interprets those instructions in ways scientists are still trying to understand. Modern technology is finally giving researchers new tools to investigate this mystery. Powerful MRI scanners allow scientists to observe how different parts of the brain communicate with one another. Advanced genetic sequencing can identify tiny variations hidden among billions of DNA letters. Artificial intelligence now analyzes enormous genetic databases, searching for patterns that would have taken humans centuries to discover. Each new study reveals another small piece of the puzzle, but the complete picture remains unfinished. Perhaps that is what makes this mystery so fascinating. The more we learn about the human brain, the more we realize how much remains unknown. Every heartbeat, every memory, every movement, every decision is guided by one of the most complex biological systems ever created. And something as simple as choosing one hand over the other reminds us that human development is never as simple as it seems. Today, millions of left-handed people live perfectly normal lives. They become doctors, engineers, artists, teachers, athletes, pilots, entrepreneurs, scientists, and leaders. The challenges they once faced from society are gradually disappearing as people better understand that left-handedness is simply a natural variation within our species. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this mystery isn't about the left hand at all. It's about diversity. Nature rarely creates perfect copies. Instead, it produces countless variations, each with its own strengths and challenges. That diversity has helped humanity survive changing climates, deadly diseases, and countless obstacles throughout history. If everyone were exactly the same, our species might never have adapted to an ever-changing world. Sometimes, being different is exactly what nature intended. So the next time you pick up a pen, shake someone's hand, or watch an athlete compete, remember that one simple action carries a story millions of years in the making. A story written partly by DNA, partly by the developing brain, and partly by the beautiful unpredictability of evolution itself. The mystery of left-handed genetics is still unfolding. Somewhere in a laboratory today, researchers continue searching for answers. Perhaps the next discovery will completely change what we know about the human brain. Perhaps it will reveal why handedness exists at all. Or perhaps it will teach us something even greater, that the smallest differences between us often hold the biggest scientific secrets. Until then, one fact remains certain: being left-handed is not a mistake. It is not a weakness, it is not a superpower. It is simply one of the many remarkable ways nature expresses the incredible complexity of being human. And maybe that's the most extraordinary discovery of all. If you enjoyed uncovering this fascinating mystery, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more documentaries exploring the hidden science behind the human body, genetics, history, and evolution. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious, because every answer begins with a question.